Coming to you with something a little different for this video, but I hope you enjoy it. I'm in the northern woods of Wisconsin, where these vehicles have become the second car solution. Lots of places look like this now, where you're gonna see more side-by-sides than cars. That's how popular these things are here. This is what is known as a side-by-side, and this is basically the Cadillac of side-by-sides. This is the 2024 Can-Am Defender Max HD10. It's a lot of fancy words to say that this is not a cheap ride, but it fits right in here, and it's the envy of everyone because we went about 200 miles yesterday, and every place we stopped at, people were like, whoa, that's the one I really, really want. So let's take a look around this thing and see what $40,000 gets you in a side-by-side. So this particular model is utility first, and it is built for this weather. There's extreme conditions up here. It'll get below zero regularly, tons of snow, and even in the summer, it gets hot and humid. And the biggest thing though, is this cabin keeps all the dust out. We were riding with another group who had an open air side-by-side, and they were filthy. Meanwhile, we were inside, air conditioned. The outside was dirty, but we were nice and clean on the inside. You can fit up to 6 people in this cabin, and the seats are actually quite comfortable. We're gonna take a look at that in a minute. 14-inch wheels all around. The fronts are a little skinnier than the backs. And in case you need it, there's a full-size spare tire in the bed as well. And this bed also dumps for those wanting to use it as an actual dump bed. That is available here. This thing is powered by 1000 cc, 82 horsepower, 69 pound-feet of torque. This is the biggest engine you can get on the Defender, and Can-Am backs it up with a 1-year warranty, which is extendable up to 30 months. And considering all the abuse that these things take, you might want to consider getting that extended warranty as well. So that pickup bed is actually pretty big. If you took the spare tire out, you'd have lots of space. Let's open it up here. It says you can fit up to 250 pounds on the back of the bed. Trailer hitch down below. You got full tail lights, side markers. This thing is road legal as well as trail legal, and that's really the appeal for it up here, because there are hundreds of miles of trails you can utilize in Wisconsin, plus also drive it on the pavement. And the ride is really, really nice on this because it has adjustable coilovers. It just soaks up all the bumps fantastically. Now, this did come standard with halogens. And this is actually my dad's ride, and I convinced him to upgrade to LEDs, because if you've seen my videos, you know how much I can't stand halogens in this day and age. And you got a giant windshield wiper when you hit mud puddles. Definitely used that yesterday. And the mirrors have actually been deleted off of here, so it's not as wide. It does have a large wide-angle rear view mirror inside, which is definitely sufficient, and I don't think you really need the side markers if you have that big mirror inside. Speaking of inside, let's have a look. Let's start in the back first. You can open the door, and there's 3 seats across. Everyone has full lap and shoulder seat belts, and you're gonna notice the floor is wet. That's because you can actually hose out this entire thing kind of like a Jeep and not worry about it. Everything's waterproof and it's easy to clean, because even though you're sealed from the outside, this thing is still gonna get really, really dirty. These seats will fold up if you need more room for cargo. And the windows back here are crank, but passengers up front get upgraded to power. Give you an idea of the legroom in back here. I'm over 6 feet, and there's a little hump here that I'm gonna hit my knee, but inside you got a few extra inches. So I feel good in here. Lots of headroom, so everyone's gonna have a comfortable ride no matter what part of the vehicle you're in. A little better ease of entry up front, plenty of space no matter what size you are, lots of headroom, and you can close the door suicide style. So you might have noticed my little prop that hopped out when I closed the door. That's because these doors don't like to stay open by themselves, but you want them closed anyways because you don't want that dust to come in. So let's hop inside. Same seats in front as in the back. Now, they don't look like much, but they're actually really comfortable for me. I have a bad back, and these were great on that entire ride we win on it. Kept my back nice and straight. And as you would expect, it's very utilitarian in here because, as I mentioned before, you can wash this entire thing off. So you don't want too many electronics and screens and things like that. And it's just more junk to break when you really just want to use this as a tool. So as I mentioned before, you do get power windows up here. I'm going to turn the accessory on here so you can check that out. Just like a car, pretty sweet. And the dashboard here gives you lots of information. You can see you got your gas gauge. Now, he's had this about 6 months, already 5,000 miles, which is crazy. Driven like a car. This thing's definitely been used, as you can tell by the scrapes and stuff like that, but that's what they're made for. Speedometer, seatbelt monitor. This is your voltmeter. This is the transmission. This is your differential where it's locked. You can control all that here. You got your rear diff and front diff controls. Now, we used everything in two-wheel drive yesterday and did some hairy stuff, and it was still just fine. Engine temperature gauge, and you got a tachometer over here as well. This thing revs really, really high. We're going to see when we go on a test drive, but it was a lot higher revving than I thought it would have been, and all your warning indication markers here. And like I said, this is road legal, so it does have turn signals, has a full horn, and hazard lights, which are needed if you need to meet DOT standards. So up above, this is aftermarket, and I think this was a huge ripoff. $1,500 for this little dumpy stereo from the dealer, and you get speakers all around. Now, that is crazy to me that that's the only radio you get for $1,500, and the antenna was pretty weak too. We couldn't even really get radio stations that a normal car would be able to get in. So that was definitely a dealer markup thing. I would stay away from that if they offer you that, because you can source all the stuff online, and you could probably even put Apple CarPlay in here, I would bet, for a lot less money and have it done somewhere else. Now, that windshield wiper I mentioned is right here, and it's a huge swipe across the entire windshield. Works pretty slick though after you hit a mud puddle. Down below here too, this was an aftermarket phone mount, but there's lots of areas to mount stuff up here, so you can put a ton of accessories. This is one of the nicer ones too. This windshield will either go a crack while you're driving, or you can lift it all the way up too. There's supporting struts on each side if you want a nice breeze. This is that mirror I talked about. It's kind of hard on the phone to see it, but you get a nice wide angle. You can see you got your front doors, back doors, rear view, pretty much like a 180-degree view. And those side view mirrors were very small and vertical, and I think you can see a lot more things just by utilizing this mirror, and you chopped about 6 inches of width off of your vehicle. Lots of options for storage in here too. You got a compartment in here full of junk, and an empty A&W will help out with that. Also, some storage up here too. You can open this, and there's a nice little compartment in there. I wish it locked, but maybe a lot of people wouldn't know about that, some willing thieves. And this lifts up here, and you get access to a nice toolbox that's integrated, and you won't lose any space in the cabin. So down here, there's some little cubbies, lots of places to stash little stuff. And like I said, this is all accessorizable too. You can add an unlimited amount of things depending on what you want in the vehicle. So let's start this thing up so you can see the other nice comforts that this has. This is one of the best things it has: full air conditioning and heat. It's on automatic right now, so it'll auto climate control. Just set your temperature just like a car and it'll do it for you, or you can set it yourself. Fan speeds, and it really blasts. Like, it really works. If it's hot or cold out, you're gonna be comfortable. There's also multiple drive modes on this, so when I hit that button, you have work mode, kind of gives you more torque, and you're definitely not going to go very fast in that. Eco mode, if you want to save a little bit of gas. And then eco off is just your standard drive mode. So 3 modes: regular, eco, and work. Most of the time you're just going to have it in the standard mode. There's also some settings menus that you can go through here, some stats. Keep an eye on everything in your vehicle. Kind of handy. Nothing too fancy though. Another nicety is heated seats. Just up front though. If you're in the back, you're not getting heated seats, but you should still be okay with that heat. Notably, there's no USB connections in here, which surprised me because everybody has phones now and they want to connect it, especially use GPS, things of that manner. just the standard 12 volt, which you could get one of those chargers that have the USB ports out of them. So you can make it work. It's just not ideal, as I really wish they would have had USB outlets already plugged in here. The gear shift is pretty standard, just like a car. Park, reverse, neutral. High is your main drive mode, and low is low range if you're in the real deep muck. The vehicle drives just like a car, so if you can drive a car, you can drive one of these. I think an ATV or a snowmobile is a little bit more intimidating, and that's why these have taken off too, because it feels like an extension of your car. So I think it's important to hear this thing because I think it's personally really loud, but I was told that this is one of the quieter ones on the market. So here we go. I did kill the climate control, so you don't hear that. Right now, not feeling too bad, but let's take it for a little bit of a drive. This does rev pretty high. Like I said, even just sitting at idle here, we're at 1300 RPM, and you do have to wear a seatbelt. Sorry to all you bros that are not into that. Otherwise, it's going to limit you to only like 15 miles an hour. They're quite comfortable though. So let's put it into gear and just go for a quick spin around the block. So as you can tell, you can really hear that noise, even though there's supposedly insulation behind where the engine is. I find it to still be quite loud, but after a while you do get used to it. So we're already up to 4,400 RPM and only going 15 miles an hour. So this is a very rev happy engine. If you're used to a car, it's going to be quite different. But once you get going, the steering is quite nice. This does have power steering. It's so simple to drive though. It's literally just like a car. Automatic transmission, you got your turn signals and everything. Things are just in a little different place, but still very simple to drive. It is going to be louder. It's not going to be like your car, but that's kind of the appeal. It's kind of fun too. So like I said, this is totally road legal. You can take it on a paved road, a city, county road, not the freeway. Technically you can't take it on the freeway, but you can take it on any other road, like a 55-mile-an-hour road, because this thing will do the speed limit in that situation. So we're gonna hop on some pavement here and I'll show you what it's like on the asphalt. Over 6,000 RPM now. This thing really likes to rev. You will get tire noise and road noise, but the ride is smooth. This is a pretty crappy road, but I don't feel any bumps at all. The ride is amazingly smooth on this car, and it'll keep its placement. My hands are off the wheel. It goes in a complete straight line as it should. You'll hear a little bit of squeaking noises from the cabin bouncing around. No big deal. You got full disc brakes if you need to make an emergency stop. It stops quite well. The only thing is the noise. It's really, really loud. Now it's more at home on a road like this. It's like a washboard gravel road, but I don't feel it at all. You really stay in place on this thing. The suspension is tuned really nicely. I want to give you a look at some of these trails up here in Wisconsin too, because they do a really good job at maintaining these trails. This is a typical one that you can hop on. Now on this, cars are not allowed on this trail, but ATVs, side-by-sides, and in the winter, snowmobiles. But you can also take this year-round, even in the snow. So that's the appeal of these things in this area. It makes total sense to me why someone would want one of these. And I'm not saying you have to spend $40,000. This is the top. This is like the Ferrari of these vehicles. But I will say, if you're gonna get one, you should get that enclosed top, unless you enjoy just eating dust all day. This is the way to go. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I'm curious about where you have a side-by-side. So if you own one, please put in the comments below and what you like about it in your particular area. Because I think these vehicles are definitely catered to working in certain areas and not working in others. Now, my main home is in Los Angeles, so this vehicle would not work very well there. But up here, you still have to have a car or a daily commuter vehicle, but this is the perfect second choice. If you agree with me, or if you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you back next time, probably with a more conventional car.